You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show. Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire. Listener, it's good to be back in your ears. We've had a little bit of time off since the end of last season, but I'm back today with Mr. Keke Mullari. Hi, Keke.
Terve.
And regular co-host, I suppose, is Rasmus Junila. Hi, Rade.
Hi guys, and hi everybody.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Keke and I, before we started, were just saying it feels like we've been away a long time, but it was only early December that we did the last proper show. And hopefully, listener, you also heard the excerpt of the pod that I make with Julian about SJK Seinäjoki, where we spoke with Paul Riley about being ahead of recruitment in Finnish football, and then a little bit about the new ASICO players for this year. And I have to confess, Keke, it kind of got me excited for the new season. It was only the beginning of January, so that's football fans, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
How have you guys been? Let's sort of catch up. What's been going on for you, Rasmus, over the last couple of months? Obviously Christmas, but other than that.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I'm also already looking forward to the start of the season. It's quite spectacular how early it starts for us here in Finland. The preseason and the off season is so long, and you really start looking forward to it in January, and the season kicks off in April. So it's a ridiculously long time to look forward to it. That would probably sound quite alien to people, let's say, in the UK, who only follow football over there. The off season is like 4 weeks compared to the 4 months. Sorry, I forgot we don't swear here, but yeah, looking forward to the start of the new season. I was over in the Netherlands over Christmas time. I was there for almost 2 weeks and had a chance to catch up with a proper top-level Finnish coach, Jyri Nieminen, who works for the local big club Feyenoord. He's the goalkeeping coach over at Feyenoord, and they made it to the playoff round of the Champions League this season. So he's really in the big time, Jyri. So I had a chance to visit him and catch up with him and do a small interview and podcast with him whilst over there. And then the funny thing is that the goalkeeping coach of Ajax is also Finnish, Jaro Tuomisto. So Jyri and Feyenoord, they were playing PSV on the weekend, on my birthday actually. On the weekend I was the first weekend I was there, and that would have been like a away match over at Eindhoven. Holland is a small country, but from Rotterdam to Eindhoven, that's like 2 hours. That's a long way over there. So then on the same day at Rotterdam, there was Sparta Rotterdam playing Ajax, and Jyri was friendly enough to call his colleague Jarkko over at Ajax, and he got me tickets for the match over there. So I got to be at the Het Kasteel, the oldest football stadium in the Netherlands, the home stadium of Sparta Rotterdam, and they played Ajax. Ajax is probably the first foreign football side I've been a fan of course, because of Jari Litmanen. When I was little kid, I was a Ajax fan for a little while, but I couldn't let anyone know over there.
And I thought Keke was the one who was friendly with all the Finnish goalkeepers. It seems to be a bit of a theme running through the Finnish Football Show.
Yeah. I mean, well, my Christmas time wasn't quite as exciting as Rade's, but we did manage to get down to Sutton United, myself and Sirpa and the kids, and we went to support Milla Majasari in her first WSL start for Palace. She's been at Palace a little while now, played a couple of cup games, but yeah, she made her WSL debut. Did all right. Unfortunately, Palace didn't get the result. She was on the wrong end of a 3-2 reverse. Tottenham with Olga Attinen ended up taking the 3 points. But yeah, Milla didn't do herself, any injustice. She played really well and was gracious enough to come and say hello and sign a few autographs after the match. So yeah, it was. It's been a. We've been checking out some new goalkeeper talent as well.
And her Helmarit teammates haven't warned her about you, so there was no restraining order or anything like that yet.
Not yet.
No, okay. Well, Rade, you were saying about how desperate you were for the season to start. I took it one stage further by actually going in person to watch the Ashicore training game, which was the blacks versus the whites. That was their shirts. There was no segregation going on. It was just practice in the Wallsport Arena, which is my least favourite place to watch football because you're up the end, you can't really see. You got a mesh in front of you. My eyes are not what they once were, and they were never that good. And you can't really see much of what's going on. But we just sort of went there, stood up on the balcony, watching the game and having a bit of a chat, and that's what football's about as well, isn't it?
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. I also got into the Hallipallo this year already, and I already got my first commentating gig of the year, and watching and commentating Tampere United playing against Ilves second team, the reserve team. So already got one commentating gig in the books this year, and another one coming next weekend. I think Tampere United might be playing FC Jats from Pori, and
nice.
Later on in the preseason, I think Tamu is playing JJK, and I'm hoping to catch that one also.
How is it commentating on those indoor games? Because I was there once, and the camera was sort of slightly above my head height. You had basically a view over the linesman's shoulder, and the commentator was sort of standing there at a table with a laptop on a box. Not so different from my setup here, but I don't know how much of the game. How much can you see from the position you've got there?
That's a pretty accurate description of the setup, which I was in, for example, and have been in for a few seasons now, in preseason games indoors. Yeah, that's it. You can sit. You sit as high as you can. You have a table. Maybe you have a screen where you can see the replays or something, and oftentimes you don't. The production technique is not up to the highest level in the preseason. Always they're just trying to get it out somehow.
Yeah,
that's basically
sure.
the
And
point.
the fans, there's fans that want to watch it. They just want to watch anything to do with their team.
Yeah, and
but hey Rasmus, that's like punk. That's punk attitude. That's like punk commentating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Over here in Tampere, Pirkkohalli is the place we play the indoor games, and they have a pretty good stand where you can watch the game. It's okay, you can fit like a few hundred people actually in there. It's decent. You don't have to be behind a net standing somewhere. Most places look very dangerous to even have people in the audience, but we have like a decent stand at least in there. But there was a net that was in front of the stand the whole way, and I don't think that was even for football. That's mostly for they are after the football game they started to play baseball. The Finnish version, of course, pesäpallo.
Of course,
but yeah, pesistä. Yes, after the football match, so I think the net was because of that.
but it really is a strange environment to watch football, and we'll come on a little bit and talk about the Liga Cup because that's going on at the moment. Listener, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Huuhkajat because there's been some news in the men's national team squad, and there's also a few games coming up pretty soon. So we'll talk about those. Bit of Liga Cup action. Keke is well, Finns overseas and transfers of Finns overseas is going to take up a bit of our time as well, and then we'll look forward to the Suomen Cup, and we've just realised that one of the Finnish football show team is going to be playing in the Suomen Cup as well, so we'll hear about that shortly. But let's get started with the Huuhkajat, and in our planning notes, Keke wrote, "New boss. What do we know?" And that is a very good question. So, Keke, I'm going to throw that question to you to start with. What do we know?
Yeah, well, not a great deal. I mean, yeah, Jacob Friis, Danish guy, I think what is he, 48, 46, something like that. Most recently working as an assistant in Augsburg, so he'll be familiar with Freddy Jensen, who's over there in Bundesliga. But yeah, apart from that, we didn't know too much. We know a little bit more now, according to Jacob's Wikipedia page. He's had a couple of jobs. He's been manager at his hometown club, Arborg, I believe it's pronounced, or ARB, they call themselves for short. Spent a bit of time in charge of the Danish women's under-19 side, and then moved on to Viborg. From there, he went down to be assistant manager at Augsburg, and all of a sudden, he's got the top job in Finnish football. He's made his way to be our new man, and all our hopes are pinned on Jacob Friis. But
did he come here to prove that he can coach a team that isn't named Borg?
Very, very possibly. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting appointment. I don't think many of us will admit to putting him in our top 10 of possibilities. I'd be interested to know if I mean, Hradecky might be able to tell us if he listened to the press conference. Obviously, I watched the press conference, and luckily for me, Jacob Friis decided to speak in English because his Finnish isn't quite up to scratch yet. But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to know if Jacob Friis was scouted by Palloliitto or if he's submitted his CV for the job. But yeah, that's who we've got, and that's who we need to get behind. I think, having spoken to a couple of people, it's maybe not as a left field as appointment as it might sound. First of all, I've heard people inside of football who have quite a lot of respect for him. He's been his work across those clubs, and especially what he was doing in Germany as an assistant boss has gained him quite a lot of respect. So yeah, I mean, we've got to get behind him. He's there now.
Rasmus, what do you know?
A little of something. I'm going back to while I spent the Christmas over in the Netherlands. I spoke with Yuri, who works over at Feyenoord, and the head coach of Feyenoord is a Danish guy, Brian Priske, who came from Sparta Prague this season to replace Arne Slot at Feyenoord, and Yuri works with a couple of Danish coaches. And when I saw the Jacob Friis names for the first time in the news, I texted to Yuri, and we actually spoke when we met there in Rotterdam, that something about the Finnish Huuhkajat head coach position, and Yuri said to me that there had been a few foreign coaches who had contacted him and asked a bit about the job and Finnish players and Finland as a country, like his foreign colleagues. That was what he told me, that there was quite a few names that were contacted by Palloliitto, and he even told me that a few of those names, he wouldn't go into specific names, but he told me that you would know these names from their playing careers, that they had like significant playing careers in their national teams and whatnot, that they would have been names that the Finnish people would have known. But when I texted Yuri about Jacob Friis, he was like, "That's the first time I've ever heard of him or heard about this entire thing." And he said the next day he went to work, he asked his Danish colleagues about Jacob, and even they were a bit surprised, according to Yuri. And they said he's a very well respected and competent coach. He's a very good coach. They said that it's not a surprise that he's well capable of doing a job of that caliber, but they said they were a bit surprised because he's not like a high profile name even in Denmark. He did a really good job over there at Viborg. He got them to the Conference League qualifications and almost got them to the group stages. I think they were knocked out by West Ham, who
that's correct.
Went on to win the tournament that year. But yeah, he did really well over there, and now he's assistant coach over there in the Bundesliga. So he's a really, really good coach with quite fast experience and know-how, different jobs. He's been the head coach of the under-19s girls national team over in Denmark, so he's worked for the Danish FA, so he knows a bit about that world also. Really good experience, but not a high-profile name. But yeah, there's my long story.
No, it's good to hear, because it just gives a little bit of color behind the person as well, because what else is there to say? Not many people are going to have seen the direct result of his coaching work before. So we're just picking at pieces at the moment until we see what he does with his first squads. Keke.
Yeah, I was just going to say, touching back on that interview where Palolito did unveil Jacob Friis. It was as you would imagine, it was interesting to hear him speak. But yeah, there was one or 2 points. I mean, anyone and everyone will have an opinion on this, but Jacob confirmed that he wouldn't be moving to Finland. He would be living in Denmark. Having said that, he did say that he would be taking in his fair share of Veikkausliiga games, and as well as travelling Europe and wherever he has to watch Finnish players who have the possibility of being called into his squads. As I said, people will have an opinion. Should he be based in Finland? Should he commit to moving to Finland? Who knows? It's not the first time we've had a foreign boss. Especially us guys who are based in England or from England, will remember the glory days from Super Roy Hodgson, who just didn't quite manage to get the golden generation of Finnish football to the peak of the mountain. But I don't ever remember if Roy was living in Finland or living in England at the time. So is it such a big deal? But yeah, I mean, he also said, Jacob Friis, that his style of management would very much be a team effort. He said he didn't want a complete revolution at Palolito. He would be working more than likely with some of the coaches who are already there. So it's I don't think he was asked if he was going to bring in XYZ staff members, and he didn't seem to say that would be the case. He said he would work closely with people who were there and people who perhaps he could lean on, who knew the players, and that his role would maybe be trying to execute a game plan, or to bring some tactical knowledge to the setup, rather than at the start, at least. He did admit that it would be him having the final say over the pick of the players, but he would be leaning to some Finnish staff who had been at Palolito already to help him on that journey. So yeah, interesting.
About being in Finland, I mean, not many domestic-based players get picked for the national team anyway. I guess maybe some of us might have hoped that new manager would get out there a little bit, but how many players move overseas in order to raise their profile to get to then get selected into the national
Indeed.
team? So maybe being in Denmark and having easy access to the continent where a lot of the players are makes as much sense as being here in Finland itself.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's at all necessary for him to live in Finland. What's the point of him going to Palloliitos office over there at Urheilukatu at Bolt Arena, where it's located? What's the point of him going there to drink coffee and to have a chat with like the coaches of HJK? Like maybe that's what the people want for him to properly integrate in Finland, to have some kahvi and pulla with the others. But I don't know. I don't think it's necessary at all. As you said, he's likely to move around Europe to watch Finnish players play in their respective clubs and leagues, and the trip from, I don't know where in Denmark he lives, but the trip from Denmark to Finland isn't that long anyways. It's an hour and a half flight or something, so he can easily make that trip like once a week, couple of times a month at least, and during the Veikkausliiga season as well. And then of course when it's the international break, they have the training camp over in Finland, or they are going for away games. You're always traveling anyways. So I don't think for practical reasons I don't think it matters at all that where does he live. But the question of his coaching staff is an interesting one, that Teemu Tainio and Tim Sparb, I don't think have been relieved of their duties at this point. They have a contract with Palloliitto, and of course Mika Lehkosuo and his staff is continuing with the Pikkuhuuhkajat until the Euros for the under-21s next summer, and maybe after that some of them might be integrated to Jacob Friis's staff. I think he was also open to the possibility of something like that, and he also has experience of working as an assistant coach. As he referred to, he doesn't really mind that much if he's the head coach or the assistant coach. And if anyone knows how football and the coaching staffs really work in football nowadays, the assistant coaches might have even way more to do than the head coach.
We're not going to have another round of who's the head coach, who's the assistant coach, job swapping during the season, are we? We don't need to go back there, surely.
No, of course not. But I don't think it does matter. For example, if Mika Lehkosuo joined his coaching staff, then who would be the head coach? Would it be Friis or Lehkosuo? I don't think. I think both of them are that competent as coaches and experienced in football that they would be able to work that out somehow. And obviously the position of the head coach is the one that takes all the bullets in the end when it doesn't go right. When you are the assistant coach, you get to do the job. It's coaching the players and the team and whatnot. It's the same job as the head coach, but you're not the one taking all the negative stuff in the media and so on. So I think in the future something like that could be worked out. I know a lot of people, including myself, wanted Mika Lehkosuo and especially Gert Remmel for the coaching staff of Huuhkajat, because that's my dream to see, when Huuhkajat has matches and Yle has the broadcast, then I hate halftime interviews, but for some reason they do the halftime interviews, and Mika Nurmela always used to do the halftime interviews. So I think that's the job of the assistant coach. So I would love to see Gert Remmel do the halftime interviews Finland isn't ready for that. That's that would be box office entertainment at its best.
And maybe it could be that the you mentioned Sparvan Dainio, and you mentioned three other coaches in total. Maybe there's a bit of a sort of a mix around, and some come up to the first team, and others drop down to take a more senior position, but with the under 21s, for example. So we're going to see actually what Jacob Friis does with his first team pretty soon. Keke, maybe I'll just give a little bit of a overview of Finland's group in the World Cup qualifiers. We're in Group G, and that's alongside Poland, Lithuania, Malta, and one of Spain or Netherlands.
That's right.
A bit tasty, isn't it?
Good.
There's a playoff between Spain and Netherlands. I can't actually remember precisely why there's a playoff between those two and what the ramifications are. Is it that one comes into Group G and one is out, or is it just what's the situation?
I think they play against each other in the Nations League finals or something.
Okay.
And the winner comes into our group, I think.
Right. Okay, fine. That makes some sense, that there would be a point to it. But then, so the winner comes into our group. Does the loser go into another group? Is that the way that works, or
a supposed harder group, I suppose?
Right. Yeah. Maybe. But I think this is a pretty tough group. We've not had much joy against Poland in recent years. Lithuania and Malta, you'd have to say we should expect to beat. But then Poland and either Spain or Netherlands, I reckon we're looking at third at best, depending on what happens with the squad and how the new coaching setup turns things around from where they'd been heading. That said, we got 2 games in March, away to Malta and away to Lithuania, so it's a pretty good start, a pretty good opportunity to get some points on the board. 23rd of March is away to Malta, and it's a 9:45 kickoff in Finland, so that's 7:45 for you, Keke, which is not too bad over there. And then
I'll be in Malta anyway, so
are you going? Are you?
Yeah, of course I am.
Of course you are. What a silly question. And are you coming back via Lithuania 3 days later?
I wish, but unfortunately not.
Well, that's a 7 p.m. kickoff on Monday the 24th. So it's that Friday and a Monday. That's not bad.
No,
not a bad weekend. So what was it that attracted you to the sunny holiday destination of Malta to watch football, Keke?
Well, there we go. Yeah. You know, they drive on the right side of the road as well, which is the left, as everybody knows. So no, it's all good. But I just wanted to ask one last thing on Jacob Friis. I just wanted to ask Rasmus, do you think his lack of Finnish language is a problem, Rasmus? I mean, obviously everybody in that Finland team, I expect, has some understanding of English, but maybe language is not the right word, but the mix, because being from Denmark, does he not only not understand the language but also the culture? Is that important, or does it help that he's out from that cultural bubble?
I think that's difficult to say. Like in general, culture-wise, Finland and Denmark might be pretty similar. Like the difference isn't radical, but I think there's some differences in general culture also, but definitely in football culture. Denmark is light years ahead of Finland in football culture in terms of resources and the quality of academies, coaching, data science behind football clubs and recruitment and stuff like that. They are way ahead of us for obvious reasons. But I don't think that's that big of an issue in the environment he's going to work in at the national team. The players, as you said, mostly they work anyways in environments where they are coached in English,
and where they don't speak the language of the country they're living in as well.
Yes. And in most places, the coaching language of a football team is English. Even in Veikkausliiga, I think that applies to most Veikkausliiga teams nowadays, and stuff like that. So I don't think that's going to be an issue whilst handling the Finnish media. So, I don't think that's kid stuff compared to even to Denmark. Like what people are going to ask him. I heard somebody said, I think it maybe was Jani Honkavara, who said that he was surprised about how negative everything was around Huuhkajat, especially when they were losing games and getting bad results. And I thought, like, that's not a very good comment to say. Like, it's nothing compared to real football countries, to be a bit blunt about our footballing culture over here. But I think Jacob Friis would be perfectly fine handling the media in whatever language. If he learns Finnish to, like I say, a few words in Finnish, that's lovely. But again, I don't think that's necessary.
And what do we think about these upcoming qualifiers? Are we hopeful of seeing some new players coming in, expecting to see some, or like he said, there wouldn't be a revolution, and there isn't that much time to be making huge changes maybe yet. But what do you think, Rasmus?
I don't know what does the Pikkuhuhkajat side do in this March break. Do they have games? Do they have friendly games, like when preparing for the Euros next summer? Because I think a few of those guys could be integrated into the Huuhkajat side in the near future, but I don't think it necessarily makes sense to do that before they do the Euros. I would keep that team together, play the Euros over there, and then have a look at those things. There's a few in the Pikkuhuuhkajat side, at least, that I could see at Huuhkajat. Keskinen obviously has been at Huuhkajat for a few times now, as well as Talvetie, Terho, and others. Then maybe Otsolimatta, Nathan Skytta, they've been really good, but they have issues. I think the issue is both of them are really small players, and Skytta is doing okay over there in France, but Otsolimatta might be struggling a bit nowadays over there in Portugal, unfortunately. But Luka Hyryläinen, who's a giant of a lad, he's almost 2 meters tall and moves really good with the ball, good touch, and he's definitely someone I would like to see moving into the Huuhkajat side in the near future. He's a player of Hoffenheim, but he plays in the second Bundesliga at Ulm at this moment in time. But yeah, I think he's defo one. If you are trying to improve our midfield, him with Kairinen, Kamara, and who would you want to play? I think he would definitely improve our midfield, as he's a massive lad and a good at football and even can run. So,
what was his name again, just so that everyone can keep their eyes out for him, maybe after this under 21 Euros?
Yeah, Luka Hyryläinen.
Okay, yeah, good. They don't have any fixtures listed in March, not on the Palloliitto website, but surely coming through this spring there will be a few practice games before the Euros. I don't think they're going to go in completely cold, so we'll wait and see what gets organised. But it could be a good way to kind of integrate a few of those players with the first team squad. That's for sure. Okay, maybe just a little move on a little bit and talk about the Liga Cup. We were talking earlier about indoor games, and this is the kind of pre-season competition where it's a little bit open. You don't have to be registered with the squad as long as you're sort of listed and you've got insurance and you're okay to play. Then a lot of clubs use it to try new players, and again we're in this indoor thing where you don't have a great view and you don't even watching the Asjikor game against Jaro on TV last week. The one camera, I couldn't see what was going on the other side of the pitch even, because the players were running around and the coaching staff standing at the side of the pitch had black on as well, and it was really difficult to work out. So don't ask me who played well, but let's have a look at the table. So this is where the Veikkausliiga teams are split into those two groups, a kind of southern and a northern section. And most teams have only played a couple of games. Each of them will play 5 times, and most have only played a couple of games so far. But in the southern group, what's noticeable is that Gnistan have won both of their games so far. So they sit at the top of the table with 6 points, alongside Inter on 6 points. Then Hakka and Hoyikor on 3 apiece. Mariehamn and Kortepää, the new boys this season, both on 0 points. And in the Midlands and Northern group, we've got Ilves sitting at the top of the table with 7 points. They played 3 already. Then Asjikor on 4, Kups and VPS on 3 apiece, and Oulu and Jaro on 0 points. And I don't know if you saw any of the comments or the aftermath of the Jaro Asjikor game from last weekend, but it was brutal. Did you see it, Rasmus?
No, not really. No.
I mean, it was physical up to the point of, you could have been watching Vinnie Jones playing in his prime in the 90s. There were late tackles. There was a forearm smash on Salim Yusuf that didn't break his nose, but certainly spread it all over his face a bit. And also Kasper Pannanen was clobbered a couple of times, and one of them was so late. I mean, a couple of seconds after the ball has been played away, both players are on their feet, and the guy just runs in and catches him on the side of the knee. And I know that Asjikor as a club and a coaching staff are pretty cheesed off about it, and not don't want to be friends with Jaro anymore. I think there was a practice game scheduled, and I suspect it might be unscheduled pretty damn quickly. And I look forward to them visiting Oma Asper Stadion. Luckily, it's not until June, so things can calm down a little bit. But the fans were pretty angry last week. 'Cause I think there's a feeling that Kasper Pannanen might step up into the place vacated by Puru Hannola as a player and as a talisman maybe this year. And to see him really limping off, everyone was a bit worried. So anyone who's still got Jaro to play, pack your shin pads and maybe a suit of armor would do a job. But this is a competition really that the teams use for preparing for the main Veikkausliiga season. It's good to have some competitive games at this time of year, but I don't think anybody's sort of setting their aims on being the Liigacup champion, and that's what makes it even more frustrating to see that level of physicality, over aggression last week. But still, Ilves are top, Rasmus, so that's all good.
Yeah, that's all good. I've been watching pieces of the matches. I don't think I've watched 90 minutes yet. I think the Kups match, it was quite close. I watched almost the entire match against Kups, and there's been good bits and pieces of Ilves in 3 matches. The old one I didn't see, I only saw the highlights, but there was even some good football in the highlights, and a few newcomers of very good standard. well in line with the strategy of the club of recruiting young players, recruiting Finnish youth national team players if we can. And because let's face it, those players have very much higher chance of making it to foreign leagues as the players in the national teams are followed in a different way. And so that's part of the strategy to acquire those players if we can. Sauli Väisänen is a very astute signing and replacement for Juhani Pikkarainen, who left for Degerfors in Sweden. I don't think, at least I didn't think, Väisänen was enough to replace Pikkarainen, as Pikkarainen was elite and especially playing with the ball, and as a left footer, he was a difference maker also when in possession also. So we've got a few defenders. Matias Rale came back to Finland from Lithuania. He's left-sided defender, a bit more of a fullback, but I think he can do a job as like the third centre back. We like to play with 4 off the ball and 3 on the ball when it comes to defenders. So I think he can do a multitude of jobs over there. But yeah, then we got a Brazilian guy from KPV. He played in Ykkönen last year. It was his first year in Finland. Can't remember his name now, but yeah, a Brazilian defender from KPV. I can dig up the name in a few seconds, but yeah, I think the recruitment has been done.
That'll wisely be David Oliveira da Silva.
Yeah, that's the guy. So
there's a very useful blog on the Veikkausliiga website, and I'll put a link to it in our blog post, listener, because it has all of those transfers, and we'll talk about a few more of those in a minute.
Yeah. But overall, I think Mr. Takkula has been worth his money in abundance for Ilves when it comes to recruitment and building the team, and in line with the coaching philosophy of Joonas Rantanen, who also inherited his entire coaching staff, didn't bring one new people in. All of those people who I worked with in the previous season when under the head coach of the legendary Toni Köpi-Kallio, from known as the pocketer of Cristiano Ronaldo from Roy Hodgson's time. That was great for having Köpi as the head coach for me personally, because he was somebody I looked up to when I was a kid, because I knew he was from Tampere, and he was like made it to the foreign leagues and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, but yeah.
Hey, I wanted to say that if you get to speak to Sauli Väisänen in your day-to-day commentating role or anything like that, then just, remind him, let him know you're on the Finnish Football Show, because he was here even before you were a few years ago. Friend of the pod, one that Keke hooked in for an interview back in the day.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, and he has so much experience from. I think he had over 100 matches in Serie B. That, even though not the top tier in Italy, but still a very good league, and everywhere else he's played, he's a very, very good player for Veikkausliiga and for Ilves. And I think we need a few of those experienced players that maybe aren't going to leave in a year or two. If they have a good year, I think that's the faith of Ilves, or basically any other club in Finland. If you have a young Finnish player that has a good year, he's gone, and you want them to be gone to further their careers and have a bit of money from the player sales. Now I think Ilves has made 500,000 from selling Santeri Haarala and Juhani Pikkarainen, 2 of their best players, to Sweden. and that's considered decent money in Finland.
Yeah, it is. And I think nowadays Finnish clubs are also doing what many clubs are doing and having this sell-on clause. So you get some money now, and then you hope the next club builds them up, and you get more coming down the line as well. So I think that kind of brings us on maybe to the next section, which is transfers. And Keke, you've listed quite a lot here of Finns, and it's going to blur into Finns overseas, I think, but transfers of Finnish players playing overseas, moving around or moving back.
That's right, mate. Yeah, it's all been happening. Obviously, it's the closed season in some leagues and in the Nordic leagues, but yeah, it's January transfer windows elsewhere, and it's all happening. There's been quite
a few surprising transfers.
Yeah, I mean, there is really. I mean, I put in as one of the show notes the ongoing Finnish revolution at Djurgården in Allsvenskan. I mean, we've already spoken about Jani Honkavara on the show today, and he's now head coach at Djurgården, and one of 6 Finns who are applying their trade there now. So you've obviously got Rasmus Schuller and Adam Stahl who were there already. Miro Tenho, who signed previously, but yeah, Santeri Harjala and who's just joined them? Crikey, I forgot.
Was it someone else from?
Yes,
Cooks?
Sorry, Mateus. Yeah, Mateus Siltanen, and he'd attracted sort of a lot of interest from some of the major clubs, but yeah, chose to join Honkavara at Djurgården. So wish him well there. That'll be one that our old mate Rich will be sorry to see go. But yeah, also Rasmus mentioned that Ilves had lost Pikarainen to Degerfors, so another player who's moved over to Sweden. There's been so many. I'll just have to consult the old Finnish Football Show Instagram and have a look. Jere Oronen is back in Sweden. He's signed for AIK. There's been a bit of an exodus from the MLS. Finnish players been making their way back to Europe from the MLS, but there's been one notable one who's gone the other way in Oni Valakari, who was doing really well on loan at AIK in this before the winter, and doing really well. But yeah, the transfer couldn't be made permanent, whichever reason Paphos and AIK couldn't agree a fee or whatever, and he's joined new MLS side. I think it's San Diego, is it? Yeah, San Diego FC.
I think he just likes playing in the warm weather.
Well, there you go.
Paphos to Stockholm and then back to San Diego. I think we know what his motivation is there.
Yeah, so Valakari's gone that way to the MLS. Who else have we got? Young Thomas Galvez. He's gone on loan to Dutch second tier team Cambuur, who I know absolutely nothing about. He was in Austria with Lask for a little while. Yeah. Didn't really feature, but yeah, Galvez is in the Manchester City sort of academy, and heading out on loan to Holland to try and pick up some game time. A lot of the youngsters are moving around on loan. A lot of the youngsters have been in big clubs. So you've got Anssi Suhonen, who's contracted at Hamburg. He has joined Jan Regensburg on loan. So trying to pick up some minutes there. It's all been happening, mate. You've got some of your old friend.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, just got your old mate Peru Hanela, who's gone to Poland. So he's in the extra cluster now. Yeah, sorry, mate. You was going to say about some of the big ones.
Yeah, some of the big ones you listed beforehand, like Joel Bocchianpallo moving from Venezia. Well, that's one that got our WhatsApp group aflutter.
It did because it had been a rumor for a little while, and then sort of it got to the end of January, nothing had happened. Jole played for Venezia more or less a week or so ago, And then in their most recent fixture, he wasn't in the side, wasn't on the bench. And that's when you sort of thought, okay, maybe this is going to happen. And yeah, it was only yesterday or the day before that he was unveiled with much fanfare to the Palermo fans down there in Sicily. I mean, you see some of the videos, it's unbelievable. He paraded out on the balcony, and there was I don't think I'm wrong if I say like 1,000 or so fans all there waiting to see him come out onto the balcony. So the ragazzi down in Palermo are very excited to have signed Poyampalo. It was a bit of a, I don't know about you guys, it was a bit of a weird one to maybe drop down to Serie B from Serie A, but and obviously Jolle, he's saying the right things. He's saying he's happy to be in Palermo. He's going to play his football and hopefully score a ton of goals for those guys. But I don't think I'm wrong in saying he'd enjoyed his time in Venice. He was living in the city of Venice, one of the only squad players to actually live in the city on the islands, and was enjoying the lifestyle there. The fans absolutely loved him. Club captain, scored a few goals in Serie A, but it looks like the ownership have decided to cash in.
Yeah, that's a definition of a weird one when it comes to a transfer saga. As it is, I think the fans over at Venice were devastated to see Jolle leave. I think they even had a protest against the owners that they were deciding to sell their captain and beloved captain and goal scorer. But that's just the harsh reality of pro football sometimes, that you are just an asset to a club. And even though, as you mentioned, Keke, the football culture in Italy is brilliant, like how passionate the people are about their clubs, and even smaller clubs, you are like a god if you are a good player and bring some happiness to the people of a town or a city. But Jolle was let go by the club because they received a fairly good transfer fee, 4 or 5 million euros, which is good money for a 30-year-old Finnish striker who's a good striker and a goal scorer, not unfortunately much else as a footballer, like when it comes to top level. He was decent in Serie A. He had opportunities to score more. I think he underperformed his XG, for example, a little bit, not drastically, but a little bit. So he missed some chances. If he would have been in his most brilliant goal scoring form, which he has been for other clubs in Turkey and other places he's been at in the recent years, while at times he's been in brilliant goal scoring form. If he would have been in that form, I think there would have been no question of selling him. But Venice is on the brink of relegation. One thing they can do is to buy a striker that scores more goals than Jolle. They are trying to do that. I don't know if they did getting the Ukrainian guy Yaremchuk, I think was his name. They were trying to get in place of Jolle. So I don't know if they did that, but what I was trying to get to, that Keke, you said he played a match, and actually I think after that match he was in tears when thanking the Venice fans, and he knew that it was going to be his last match over there. So I think it was a cruel thing to Jolle, because I don't think he wanted to leave. The Venice fans didn't want him to leave, but Palermo is a good opportunity for him. I heard read on the news that his salary is going to be better over there, so it's an upgrade to him financial wise, and that's basically what a career is about, especially when you're 30, like Jolle. So he has experience of doing exactly what Palermo wants him to do, which is to score goals to get them promoted via the playoffs. They don't have a chance for the direct promotion, but during the due to the playoff route, they can still do it, and Jolle is going to be vital for them.
Okay, the other big one that's had the whole of Finnish football ablaze is that Teemu Pukki's coming home, or kind
He
of
is.
coming home. He's close to home, and another of his former Huuhkajat teammates is also coming back to HJK.
Yeah, Alex Ring. So Alex Ring, who's had like seven odd years in MLS, and much to some of our disappointment, halted time on his international career, maybe a touch early, citing the travel from the US back to Europe for, I don't know, meaningless friendlies or shitty qualifiers that he thought, but he's back in HJK. Looks like he can do a job in the Veikkausliiga still, and maybe some of the other Veikkausliiga teams are quaking in their boots to see Alex Ring and Teemu Pukki back in Finland. I mean, Pukki said in his press conference that he still hopes to play for Huuhkajat as well. This is not a retirement home for him. He's still got his eyes on his international career, wants to continue that, and wants to do his best for HJK. But they're a couple of transfers that had tongues wagging or certain sections of Finnish football licking their lips. But another transfer that had tongues wagging for a slightly different reason is Huuhkajat hero Glenn Kamara signing for Saudi Arabian club Al Shabab. So
I think we're all a bit kind of stunned silence about that, really, aren't we? Like, you understand players going there for that payday, but was it a year ago that Kamara was playing at Leeds at the top of the championship, and if they'd gone up, possibly would still be there?
Yep, I think so. And lost his way a little bit in France, I think it's fair to say.
He certainly did, because he's ended up in Saudi Arabia.
Well, and the comments like, listen, I'm not gonna badmouth Glenn Kamara. I hope he still does a job in Huuhkajat, but I just think it's unfulfilled potential, I think, is the headline. I don't know what Rade has to say about that, but I think it's maybe a little bit sad that one of our brightest talents has ended up quite early in Al Shabab.
Yeah, I think it's that, isn't it? It's the going there at the age of 28 is he now? Late 20s, and I still feel he's got more to give at a much higher level than that. And a lot of players have gone out there and playing in front of small. I think it's that thing of comparing being at like Rangers and Leeds with playing in front of maybe a few thousand in some of these games in Saudi. Like, I don't have an issue with going out there. I just think it's at this time of his career. But anyway, everyone makes their choice.
Yeah, I think Rennes, the French club he played for 6 months, is also a very, very good club, a big club in at least a rather successful club in recent years in France and in French football, also in Europe. And there's a lot of players that made good transfers to huge clubs in world football from there. And I don't know what happened to him there. Stats wise, I think he got a few opportunities. There might have been a change of coach.
No, there's been another one recently as well. That coach that sort of bombed him out of the squad has actually been replaced himself. So I think that it's not been the best year for them in that regard at the club.
But that's football for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but if you're approaching your 30s and you get an opportunity like that after a couple of difficult seasons or difficult experiences, you get opportunity to move and get the big money contract from there. It's something you can do. And then if for some reason it doesn't go well over there, you can move back to Europe, and I think
Back to
again,
Huuhkajat.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Why not? That's the
Follow that well-worn path.
destination. Yeah, that's the destination for all of them. You can still do that at least, and play in Europe and play for Huuhkajat. So that's how the game goes. But I think Glenn Kamara would be brilliant for, I think, let's say, a side in the Eredivisie in Holland, for example, like the football, technical football, possession football. Yes, it's very good level of football, but maybe a little bit less intensity and pace, athleticism. I think he could be very good in a league like that. But I think I've said this other times, maybe on this podcast as well. But he's a difficult player to fit in a football team. Like, what is his position, his role? How do you get his best qualities to show? I think there's been a few matches that with Kairinen, he's played all right. There's been other matches that you need somebody like Rade Schuller in between them to add the solidity and security to the midfield. And there's been times that he's been played a bit further forward as more of an attacking player, and I think he's terrible at doing that. So he's a very difficult player to make a role for in a team. So I think Saudi Arabian football might be okay enough for him to play in Huuhkajat.
Yeah, there was a conversation in our WhatsApp group, wasn't there, that this is not necessarily the same as Joni Kaukko moving to India, that the standard is higher, and there are former Premier League and La Liga and Bundesliga and whatever players actually playing in Saudi. So there is maybe the crowds are not huge for every game, but the quality of the opposition there is something there.
Yeah, there is, for example, Al Ahly has a front three of Riyad Mahrez, Roberto Firmino, and Ivan Toney. So
that's not bad, is it?
Yeah, that could be a front three of a Premier League side easily. Even after a year or two in over there, they could come back and be a front three for a promoted side in the Premier League. So the level is very good at times, but then when you consider the guys you haven't heard about, the level of those guys might be rather different. But yeah, that's the case with the MLS as well, for example. But I would still any day of the week move to MLS rather than Saudi if you are looking for the lifestyle and your day-to-day training facilities and quality. The MLS, Juri Nieminen, who I mentioned earlier, he used to work there. He said the standards over there are very high, that the MLS standards are very good. The stadiums are almost sold out. The stadiums are good. The pitches no longer has the yard marks of an American football pitch or something like that they used to. So I think MLS is a good environment for many players, including Finnish players who we see more often over there. But I think the level of football, I don't think it's worse than the MLS, for example, but the culture change is a whole lot different, at least.
Okay, you got some other things to say about Finns playing overseas, about Lukas Hradecky, and then also some Helmarit playing in the Women's Super League in England.
Yeah, so a big one on Luke. Got my Hradecky shirt on as a bit of a tribute tonight. But yeah, Lukas Hradecky is only the second player in Bundesliga history to complete 50 games unbeaten, which is, wow. I mean, everyone followed Bayer Leverkusen's journey to the double last season, and with like open mouths. It was unbelievable that they went on that unbeaten run, and it was. unprecedented. But yeah, Lukas has racked up 50 Bundesliga games unbeaten. And as I said, only the second ever player in history to achieve that milestone. So big kudos to our Huuhkajat captain. And then just a quick touch on Helmarit. There's more and more Helmarit joining us over in England in the WSL. We touched on Mila Majasari earlier. She's been joined at Crystal Palace by Ria Erling. So Ria Erling has won the league. I don't know how many times in Sweden, twice, maybe 3 times. Yeah, double Svenska Mästare and maybe 3 times with FC Rosengård. She's now in Crystal Palace. So, keep an eye on Ria, see how she gets on in WSL. Eva Nyström, who also has racked up over 100 games for Hammarby in Allsvenskan, has moved to West Ham United. So she joins Una Siren in the Claret and Blue. So
I'm starting to think actually that they're following you, Keke, rather than the other way around.
You never know. Maybe. But West Ham play their games at Dagenham and Redbridge home ground. So that's only a half hour, 40-minute drive from here. So we need to get ourselves down to Dagenham and give Ava a welcome to London. So that's on the cards for me and the kids in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and do you put the pictures that you take on the Instagram as well?
Yeah.
Because it's good. I see these things pop up. I don't know if they're on WhatsApp or if they're on the Instagram. And actually, listener, wherever you might want to follow the show, whether it's Elon Musk's dumpster fire or Blue Sky or Instagram or Facebook, everything that Keke shares kind of gets shared on all these different places. So you can. It's good. It's good to see what's going on with the Finnish players, whether they're scoring or moving or saving or meeting Keke. Final thing, just to mention that the Suomen Cup is about to start, and my eye was caught by this story in the Palloliitto shed today, and it was about the first round, which is the very obviously the very earliest stages, and some quite small teams playing there, but they said that this is known as Juuson Kierros or like Juuso's round, the first round. And there's a bit of a story behind that. And I asked Rasmus if he could tell us about it. And he then dropped the bombshell that not only can he tell us about it, but he's playing in it. So Rade, unmute yourself and then explain yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if I can tell about it. I saw it like you, the story behind it, but I didn't get to watch it as of yet, so I don't know the whole story. I do know some of the people working behind the Suomen Cup in the media and marketing department and so on. My greetings to Henkka Hyvönen, for example, if he's listening, as he well might be. He's a crazy Finnish football connoisseur. Let's say like that. So
well, he won't be listening to this rubbish then.
Yeah. But it's the round 0, as they say.
Right.
The Finnish Cup, the Suomen Cup, has 420 teams this year. The amount of teams has been going up ever since they introduced the traditional format of the cup, as in like the FA Cup in England. There's hundreds and thousands of teams. They are drawn against each other, and on a one game basis, they play against each other, knock each other off. The winner goes on, the loser goes off, as the cup format goes. So that was reintroduced a few years back. I think 2022 was the first year that this was applied again after a few years break. And our club, FC Helmi Jätkä, which plays in the possible division in official Finnish football, the 7th division. They don't even have that in many places. They have in Helsinki and in Tampere, they have 7 divisions. So we play in the 7th division and been a part of the cup since 2022. In the first year, we won our first tie in the first round against FC Eurajoki, and I think it was their second team, which played in the 5th division over there at Satakunta. And we knocked them out on penalties and was drawn against Palloiro, who plays in the 2nd division, or I think it's the 4th highest tier, but it's called Kakkonen in Finland. But they are like semi-pros, and we played against them with the 7th division side a few years back, and ever since that we've been part of the cup. And this year we are playing in the round 0, and the point is to get an even amount of teams for the first round, and then we move on to knocking the half of them out every round, and so on. I think it's the 3rd round when teams, let's say the semi-pro and pro teams, are introduced in the third round. So basically, it's the 4th highest tier of football and everything below in the round 0 and round 1. So our club, which I'm a board member and a player coach of our club, FC Helmijatka, we are facing Leki from Lempäälä. Lempäälän Kisa is their full name. They play in the Nelonen, the 4th tier. And for example, their player coach, Jean Fridolin Nganbe, has like 100 Veikkausliiga matches on his belt. So I know Frido. He played for Ilves Kissat a couple of seasons back. Both of his knees has been operated, and he was still the best player on the pitch in Kakkonen. And so if he plays against us, I can promise you I will go after his knees in the first minute. So
and they're a Nelonen team as well. So that's a big difference, even in round 0. I found the fixture on the Palolito website, and I'll put a link specifically to that game as well, listeners, so you can follow how Rasmus gets on. When the game is being played this Saturday, 6 p.m. Finnish time.
No. I think it's on the 8th
of March. Sorry. Yes.
March,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A month from now.
Yes.
If you want me, I won't play on Saturday. In any case, my preseason is still in progress.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think you're going to need a few more weeks to get ready for it. Then, okay.
We need a couple of friendlies, a couple of jogs for everyone, and maybe one sauna ilta.
Yeah. But I can see you here listed as Valmentia as well, so that's all good.
We need to see if our other mate Ali Munson's Ponistus is in this round 0.
Is he Ponistus or Ponistus 2?
I think it's the second team. Yeah.
Well, then they are there. Yeah. They seem to be playing against a team of the same level as them, which to me sounds like cheating. But
treading the boards in London at the moment rather than playing on the AstroTurf in Finland. But I'm sure he'll be back in black and white stripes soon. So maybe Manson is going to feature. Imagine that, 2 Finnish football show guys turning out in Suomen Cup. That's amazing.
Imagine if they played against each other. I might even bother to get on the train and go down there and find them. I'm not quite sure. I can't see his name. Oh no, it's the Vitonen team he plays for, so I can't see his name on there, but maybe he's been sold and we haven't heard about the transfer. We haven't talked about it. Just to finish the question, what is why it's called Juuson Kierros? It's after Juuso Valden, who was an industrialist way back in the day, but more importantly, was very involved in FC Haka becoming a force back in the, let's say, 50s and 60s. And there's even a photo of him meeting President Nixon before he was president. It's a very interesting article, not that long, but worth having a read. And again, I'll put the link there in the show notes. And Rasmus, we wish you the very best of luck. We might record before that game, or we might record just after it. So, listener, keep your eyes open on Rade's performance. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll gladly give you an update on how we are getting on. I think we are major underdogs, but I can reveal some inside information that we got some major signings to strengthen us in the cup. So I got my co-host from my podcast called Napit Edellä for Tikkurilan palloseura for a couple of years ago in Kakkonen.
Okay.
So he's a good player. So he's semi-retired from proper football. So he's coming to join us and
to play in the Suomen Cup.
Yeah, to go for the big time. Yeah. We can like go for the glory together and make a topic about it on the podcast as well. Nice. So that's all good. And actually a couple of days ago we had training and I ran into Milad Zanipor, a former Iranian national team player. And when I told him we are playing against his former teammates team, he told me, I'm coming to play for you guys. so we might have an Iranian national team player playing against the side playing in the 7th division in Finnish football. So watch out for that.
Yeah, that sounds good. These are the sort of stories. We normally just find teams with funny names and talk about them, but actually having some real insight in there is great. And if we've got Ali as well, that'd be nice to follow on.
We have a funny name, but it's the sort of funny that you guys aren't even getting. So
well, yeah, I kind of know what the words are, but I don't know if I want to know what it really means. Maybe we should leave it there.
And our logo and our club logo is a guy throwing up. So
right, is it really? I can't quite see it on my screen. Oh yeah, it is as well. That is absolutely revolting. I cannot condone this. But we do want to follow you and see how you get on, Rasmus. So, but I reckon that Keke, when we started recording, Keke said, "Oh, I reckon we got enough for 45 minutes." An hour and 20 later, we're almost out of tape, and the English Football League Cup semi-final is about to start, which was Rasmus's cut-off point. So he's out the door. He probably needs a bathroom break, and then to the fridge, and then to the sofa. And make sure you don't do it too quickly and don't pull a muscle because you've got a big game coming up.
Cheers, lads. It was very nice to talk about Finnish football in England, in English. Always my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And Keke, as ever, good to have you here. See you again really soon.
Yo. Kiitos, Rade.
Kiitos.
And listener, until next episode of the Finnish Football Show, thanks for listening. Goodbye. You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and also on Instagram. Escape to Suomi on Twitter is now Finnish Football Show on X. And you will find us on Blue Sky at Finnish Football Pod. See the links in the episode description, along with the links to the Finnish Football Show merch shirts.